Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Lisa Bassini and I am from a company called The Baking Coach. Today we are making one of my favorite recipes, and that is an Italian cheesecake. This Italian cheesecake has a little bit of lemon zest in it, and it's just the right amount of flavor to make this cake delicious. But if you're not a big fan of lemons, you can use orange zest. Works the same way. But I love lemon and cheese. It's something that I find is delicious together. I have my oven preheated at 325 degrees. Now the next thing I'm going to do is take the cheesecake pan, and this is a 10-inch spring foam pan, and I'm going to grease the bottom with some cooking spray. And you want to kind of get it up the sides just a little bit, but primarily the bottom of the pan. Then I've got a little bit of flour, and I'm going to sprinkle some flour all the way around my pan. You don't use a crust on this cheesecake, just a little bit of flour. Then I'm going to tap it around, shake it around, go so it gets everywhere. Didn't get on my sides too much, so I'm going to add a little more. There we go. Just so you don't want the bottom of the cake to be greasy. I have 2 dogs, and they have a tendency to bark from time to time. But my assistants are here today, so they should get them under control. There we go. That's our floured pan. I always like to just put it upside down in the sink just to get off any excess. I've got my pan on top of a cookie sheet. You should always bake on top of a cookie sheet because there's a lot of moisture in the ricotta cheese. In a classic cheesecake, you sometimes put a hot water bath in the oven. You don't need to do that with this one. So the first thing I want to do is try to get this ricotta cheese out in one piece, which is not happening. Sometimes it just comes straight out. But for me today, it did not want to happen. That's why I have a spatula. One of the things my grandmother always taught me is before you buy your ricotta cheese in the store, to lift the lid to make sure that the seal's not broken. There is nothing more frustrating than coming home, buying ricotta cheese, and it's open because you really shouldn't use it then. One time I lifted the lid and it was green underneath. It was so gross. But anyway, I always think of my grandmother whenever I go to the grocery store. I hear her voice say, "Binti, check the lid. Don't buy it yet." So I always do. This can, rinse it out, put it in your recyclable bin, or use it for something else. This is great to store some leftover stuff in. It's a great size. I love this size of the ricotta cheese because it's deep, so it can hold a lot. Okay. Sometimes if I'm making another kind of dip, I'm going to put in here my cream cheese. You can give it a little whirl before we're going to add in anything else, and I'm going to do that. The cream cheese is softened completely. It's at room temperature. If it wasn't at room temperature, that could cause a problem because you would get little tiny clumps. It won't then blend as well if it's not room temperature. And it doesn't matter if you put the ricotta in first or the cream cheese in first, it doesn't matter. You do want to make sure that it's at room temperature and mix it right away when the two meet. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the ricotta cheese is cold. So right away that cream cheese is going to want to harden up on you. So if you blend it right away, it won't know what hit them. Okay. So now to this, I'm going to add the granulated sugar that I have pre-measured. See your recipe for the measurements. Get it all in there. I don't know why Barney is barking today. Being a bad basset hound. Okay. Then we're going to add the cornstarch. Get that in there. And flour. That's what's going to bind the cheese to the other ingredients. So let's get that blended really well. Cheesecake needs to be blended really well. Can you overmix it? Yes, you could overmix anything. How would you know? It takes a lot. So just get it so it's combined. There you go. Mix it for about a minute or so. Then I'm going to take my spatula, and you want to make sure you get around the ends of the bowl. And then we're going to talk about lemons. There's a couple different types of zesters and graters. The traditional box grater I find to be the best. You use any grater you like that doesn't cut your fingers. So just be very, very careful when you're zesting. So on a typical box grater, there's two sides. There's a slicing side, and this small side here is the one that I use when we grate our lemon. And you want to make sure, I'm going to do a little bit of zesting right over it just to show you. You want to make sure you rotate your lemon, go slowly, because you only want to get the yellow. The white is bitter. Try to keep just the yellow. But here, I would be zesting for a while. Here's the correct amount that we need for our cheesecake. Then some vanilla extract. One and two. You took away my egg dish. Okay. Anyway, she wants to clean everything, so she's taking it all away. Anyway, here we go. So I'm gonna blend this up. This is adding our flavoring into our cheesecake. So let's get that in there. And now our eggs. Your eggs should not be ice cold. My eggs were cold, so I set them in some warm tap water and let them sit for about 5 minutes. And that warms them right up. Just a little tip if you forget, because having eggs at room temperature is very important. So we're going to need 4 eggs and then 2 yolks. So we will crack our eggs one at a time in this small bowl. And then from here, I'll put it into this bowl. So let us do our, you don't want to get any water in there, so be careful. If you do this method, make sure your eggs, all the water runs off of your eggs. It's just to heat them up. So I usually like to add 2 eggs, then mix. I'm going to do 3 today because I don't want to be boring. Why am I putting my eggs in this smaller bowl and then pooling them into the larger bowl? Number 1, shells. I want to make sure I have no shells. Number 2, if there's any blood in the egg or the egg's very cloudy, if the egg is very cloudy and it pulls away from the yolk, that simply means that that egg is not fresh. And I only like to use fresh eggs in my baked goods. As far as the blood in the egg, to me that just went a little far into the process. I don't need to use that egg either. So I'm very particular. Let's get this mixed up. Looking good. Now I'm going to add in my 2 yolks. Oops. Let's get them. Hold on. There we go. 1 yolk. I don't normally do it that way. I'll show you how I do it. I will either go back and forth with my egg, or I just run it through my hand. Sometimes I'll go like that, and it kind of separates the egg with my fingers. Okay, so that's 2 yolks. And then I need 1 more whole egg. That'll be an omelet for tomorrow morning for me. Waste not, want not. There we go. Okay, let's get that last egg in there. And we're gonna mix it up. Okay, getting rid of all my shells. You want to make sure this is fully combined. So I'm gonna mix it up, then I'm gonna stop. Oh, it is looking so good. Beautiful. Yeah, just about done. Just gonna give it one last stir. Okay. I did that already. Thank you, guys. Just making sure I didn't make a boo-boo. Okay, there we go. All right. That is it. Take those off. Pop them in the sink just to get them out of my way. Okay, here we go. Now we've got our prepared pan, and you should always have that prepared before you begin. Make sure it's on properly. And I'm going to pour in the cheesecake batter carefully. It's heavy. I'm wishing I had this in a bowl that had a handle right now. But there we go. Just need to get a better handle on it. Da-dum-dum. Anyway, no handle. Got a better handle on it. Okay. Get all that cheesecake batter in there. What's going to happen when this is just about done? I'm going to bake this bakes for over an hour. Follow your recipe. It's going to puff up, but then it settles. So don't be disappointed if it's not going to be this big, fluffy cake. But it does, just bake it for the recommended baking time on your recipe. If you don't have the recipe and you want it, reach out to me at bakingcoach.com. Okay. But once it'll puff up when it's baked, and then it will settle. So I will show you. It stays about the same thickness after it settles. So let me just move this to the side. This would go into the oven at 325 degrees. I'll put that in the oven in a minute. And here we have our completed cheesecake. So you'll see that the edges become a little golden brown at the edge there. See how it's sunken and you've got that little lip there? That's traditional in a cheesecake. It's a nice crustless bottom. You save calories on the cook. No, there's no saving calories here, unfortunately. But it's absolutely delicious, worth every bite. So have a salad and then have this for dessert. Anyway, that's what I do. But don't take dieting advice from me. No, no, no. Only baking advice. I'm very bad at the dieting. Anyhow, enjoy your cheesecake. It's absolutely magnificent. My name is Lisa Bassini. I'm from The Baking Coach. To find out more information about The Baking Coach, check us out at bakingcoach.com. Thanks again. Bye-bye now.